Good morning, YouTube. I am Bearded Ink, and today we have another tutorial for you on the Enhanced TTS Queue System. This is a queue system that I have built. It was modeled off an existing queue system, and then we have made it better. So first off, we're going to answer some questions. We're going to go over a couple of things real quick in the intro before we switch over and get started on this. Things that you need to know. Please pay attention to the next part before you just jump ahead. But speaking of jumping ahead, there are parts in this tutorial that are specific to Twitch streaming only and to streaming on YouTube only, as well as streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. This export that I have made for you covers both and both together. So if you are only streaming on Twitch or if you are only streaming on YouTube, then you'll want to use the chapter markers that I put down below to skip to the parts that you need that are pertinent for your setup, depending on where you're streaming. And then, of course, you can skip the parts that are not pertinent to you. But what is a TTS queue system? Basically, we use Streamer.bot and Speaker.bot together, along with OBS, while we're streaming. That allows your viewers to use TTS to ask you questions or to pose information or what have you, depending on what your needs are. But instead of playing the TTS right away and potentially interrupting like a raid message or a gameplay moment or something like that, you actually control when those TTS messages come through. So we are building a queue system so people can use the command to ask their questions, and then that will go into the queue, and then one at a time, as you see fit, you get to play them, respond to them, and such. So how did we enhance this already pretty popular feature in Streamer.bot? Well, we've made it better. Not only do we still incorporate Discord into it by posting the question into Discord with a timestamp to the Twitch VOD, but we have also figured out how to make timestamps on YouTube, which will be another tutorial quickly here in the future for you, because that has a lot of potential uses. But we also use the person that asked the question, their profile picture, their name as the person that posted the question. We have a lot of date timestamps as well, and several other little tweaks and stuff here that just make the overall experience better. And one of the biggest ones is we now have chat response to the person that asked the question. So basically in all the other systems, when you ask the question, it just kind of goes off into the void until you hear it being played on stream. With this system, they will ask the question and they will get a text response in your chat saying that their question has been received and it will be answered in a timely manner. So here's what you're going to need to get this going. First off, make sure that you check out the description below, open it up, the show more or whatever, so you get the full thing. And right underneath the little paragraph there where I talk about what this video is about, you're going to see a whole bunch of links and we're going to cover all them. So if you don't have any of these programs, you're going to need to get them, and they're going to be in order that we kind of talk about them so that you can follow along. The first one you're going to need obviously is Streamer.bot. That is the main bot that we use. Speaker.bot, which is the companion to Streamer.bot. It is the TTS system that integrates into Streamer.bot. You're also going to need OBS if you want to have visuals and stuff on your screen as well, and Discord there. So if you don't have any of these programs, all of them are free, and I do have tutorials on downloading, installing, and setting them all up. So make sure you go back to the homepage here on YouTube and check that out if you want to get started in any of those. But I'm going to assume that you've already done all that and you have Streamer.bot, Speaker.bot, possibly OBS, because that is completely optional, and Discord, and they're all set up and ready to go. And then we're going to get started. The other thing you're going to need is look down below for the Ko-Fi link, or coffee if you're normal and pronounce it the right way, unlike me. I have an export code that you're going to want to download, and this is going to come as a zip file, and inside the zip file will be two files. One is a .txt file. The other is a .sb file. And basically, they are exactly the same thing. It just holds the text information for the import of this. And we're going to cover how to import and all that before we get going. So make sure you grab that. It is called the Bearded Inks Enhanced TTS Queue System. It is a zip folder. Like I said, go ahead, get that, extract it somewhere like on your desktop, because you're not going to need it permanently, just somewhere where it's easy to get to. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So if you're ready, here we go. Okay, so like I said, the first thing we're going to start out with is in Streamer.bot, because there is some initial setup. We have a lot of things to do, so we're just going to go right into it. Now, this is for everybody. And again, remember, pay attention to the stream markers or the chapter markers down below, so you can jump ahead when needed, if needed. Okay, but let me come right over here real quick. Let's zoom in for you here. This is a zip file you're going to get from Ko-Fi. Okay, and as you can see here, we already have Streamer.bot open. And inside, once you unzip this, you're going to get the text file and the SB file, which I just talked about. And I did this for several reasons, because there are 3 ways that you can import. There is the drag and drop of the text file, there is a drag and drop of the SB file, and then there is the copy and paste method. And not always, depending on your system, your firewalls, your things like that, some of the options may not work for you. So we're going to cover all 3 of them real quick. And I'm going to try to keep this as quick as I can, but you know me, I want to be thorough and make sure that you all understand. All right. So in Streamer.bot, first thing we're going to do over here, we're going to come over here and we're going to click the import button at the top. And this is going to open up this import window here. And what we're interested in is the import string. And remember, I told you can drag and drop. So if we look here, if we take the text file, this is the dot text, and we drag it over the import string, you can see how the cursor changes from that red circle to a little square with a plus sign on it. And if we were to let go of the click, it would import the information in that text file. You can also try it with the SB file. And sometimes either one of these won't work. It'll maintain that your cursor is this little red cross out circle here, meaning it won't let you drop it. It'll look, just like this wherever you drag it. So if you don't see your cursor change on either one of the files, and you can try them both, which is why I include them both. The only other thing you have to do is just open up the text file in any like notepad or text editor, and you're going to see this giant wall of coded text. It means absolutely nothing to anybody but Streamer.bot. Now, because this is the content of the files in the zip file that you download from Ko-Fi, and because there is an unknown extension, the .sb, which is really virtually unknown, especially to like Ko-Fi and to Windows, when you download the zip file and try to extract it, you may get a warning of potential malware. And I promise you, it is not. I have written all the code here myself. It is completely safe. You can trust me. And if you don't, then you can make these all by hand, okay? But because of the type of file extension and the fact that there aren't any discernible words in the text document here, it sometimes does get flagged by Windows. You can just safely ignore that. It doesn't matter. But if the drag and drop methods don't work for you, we're going to come in here. We're just going to select all to make sure we get every character. You don't want to leave, if you leave one character off, it won't work. And then we're just going to copy that. And then we're going to come back in here to the import string, and we're just going to paste. It'll paste that string, that code there. And then you're going to be met with some basic information. It'll give the name, a little description here, the author here, the version number, which we are on 1.2. And then you'll be able to see we have 7 actions that we are importing. We have 1 queue that we're importing and 1 command. And when you import this, it'll get a little pop-up, as you'll see in just a second, telling you that the command will be disabled by default, and you just say okay. So we're going to come down here and click on import. There is a little message saying that your commands will be disabled. We just say okay, and then poof. Right there in your Actions tab, you will see the Enhanced TTS Queue System with all 7 actions. If we go over to our action queues and click on the queues, you'll see the TTS queue here. And then we go to the commands. You'll see that it is red. the questions queue with the command I've set up is !ask, and it is red because it is disabled. And we're going to get to all this in just a moment. But now is where we're going to pay attention to the chapter markers, because first thing we're going to do is we're going to set this up for somebody that is only streaming to Twitch. So if you don't stream to YouTube or you don't multi-stream, this is the part you want to watch. For those of you that are on Twitch only, if you only stream to YouTube or if you stream to both, skip ahead to the next chapter. All right, now that we're only talking to the Twitch people, we're going to go through a little bit of this setup. Now, we're only going to cover the things here that are Twitch specific. So don't skip all of the chapters coming up because we're going to cover the final setup when we're talking about everything that includes either or, okay? So we're going to start here with just click on number 1 on the start setup there. And what we're going to see here is that we have 2 triggers and then we have some sub actions right here. And because we're on Twitch only, we can safely delete some of the stuff for cleanup, okay? So we're going to start with the triggers. We're just going to click the YouTube broadcast one here, and we're just going to delete that trigger. And we're going to say yes if you pop that up. And then we're going to come down to the sub actions. Now you'll see I have a delay here of 10,000 milliseconds or 10 seconds. And the reason we add this delay is because there is a small delay from the time you click go live, which is what these triggers do, is when you start streaming in OBS, when your stream comes online. And sometimes that delay can last anywhere from 5 to 7 seconds. So we don't want to run these following actions here until your stream is live, because this is the action that is going to pull in the information we need to post to Discord, and we need the stream to be live. Okay. So all of the YouTube stuff we can get out of here, and there's really only one, and it's this right here, set temp global YouTube link or YT link. So we're going to click on that to highlight it, and then we're just going to go ahead and come down here and we're just going to delete sub action to get rid of it. Now that you're on Twitch though, this fetch URL, we want to double click into here to open it up. And you'll see up here in the top of the URL site where it says your Twitch username here. You want to highlight that and delete it. Make sure that you do not delete either the / or the question mark right here. Okay, we need to leave those in. And then you're going to type in your Twitch username. So I would type in Bearded Ink. You would type in whatever your username is. And that's all you got to do. I've already formatted this URL and given it a variable for everything else that we need. But this needs to be your username. And just make sure, again, the question mark and the / after videos are still there. You don't want to delete those or it'll break everything. And then you're going to click OK. And that's all we have to do. Okay. So now we're going to go to number 2. Now we're not going to cover everything here because this is part of the dual setup. But basically this is the main action here. This is what happens when people use the ask command in your chat to ask a question. Okay, so again, we have the global YouTube link. Remember, we just got rid of that, so we don't need that global YouTube link. So we're going to come in here, right click and click on delete sub action. Okay. And then this if statement determines whether the ask came from the Twitch chat or the YouTube chat. And we don't need that here because you're only getting your information from Twitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to delete this entire if statement and we're going to add a new statement. So we're going to come in here, we're going to right click, we're going to go to delete sub action. And now we're going to come in and we're going to right click in a blank spot to open up the menu. We're going to go to core, we're going to go to actions, and we're going to go to run action. And the action we want to run is this number 4 from Twitch. So we're going to click right here where it says no action selected. It'll pop up a list of every action we have. And what we want to do is just type in the filter spot up here, just type in 4 period, and then you'll see there it is. So from Twitch, and then we're going to select, and then run action immediately is checked. We're going to say okay, and you're going to notice it'll put it way at the bottom, and we don't want it there. We want to put it where that if statement was. So we're going to come up here between the 2 gets. So we got the get global Twitch link and the Q answer here, and we're going to leave those alone. And everything else in here except for the webhook, the Discord basic webhook, we can leave alone. So we're going to skip all the way down here to the Discord basic webhook. And because you're not on YouTube, we want to arrow down, click into the content area here. Okay. And we're going to arrow down and you'll see all of this jumble stuff down here at the bottom. And what you see here is you'll see an open bracket with see the answer on YouTube, and then a whole bunch of URL stuff with math and all kinds of crap in here that I've done for you. And we're just going to highlight the whole thing and delete it. Okay. And that's all you have to do. Make sure that you leave the Twitch stuff alone. Right. But just delete from that open bracket that says see the answer on YouTube all the way to the end and get rid of that. Delete all that. And then we're going to click OK. All right. And then we're done with this section. And now, because we're not coming from YouTube, number 3, we don't need that at all. You can just come in here and delete that entire action if you want to. If you decide to leave it, it's not going to break anything. This is just for some housekeeping. The from Twitch one, we don't need to do anything in here, but you do need to leave it alone. The chat response from Twitch, number 5, this is the one that will reply to them in chat. And you don't really need to do much in here. But what we're going to do is we're going to come, this if statement here is also kind of a secondary because we're running multiple commands off of, or multiple actions off of the same command. All of these use the ask command. So what we need to do is we need to get rid of this if statement here. And we're just going to come in here and we're just going to delete this. And then all you're left with is the get temp global and then your Twitch add target and the Twitch message. Now I have a Twitch message set up for you with a couple of variables here, the user's name, and then the question or the queue position. So if you have multiples coming in, and this is the message that will go to chat, and it'll basically tell them, hey, your question number 3, your question number 47, or whatever it is, just to give them that feedback. If you want to change this message, that's completely fine and completely up to you, however you want to format it and what you want it to say. Remember, this is just going to the Twitch chat once they've asked a question to let them know that their question has been received. Okay, so the chat response from YouTube, this whole action, we don't need it at all because we're not going to run this. Because we're not on YouTube. So we can just come in here and we can delete this whole thing right here, say yes. And then we have the play question. And all we're going to do here is we're going to come in here and if it says unknown, we're going to double click in here and we're going to find that TTS queue system right here, the TTS queue. And we're going to say resume and we're going to click OK. And so it should say TTS queue right there. Okay. Other than that, you're basically all set up as far as what we have to do for Twitch only. So now we're going to move on to the YouTube only people. Okay. And we'll show them how to set up and then we'll move on from there. So you can skip the next chapter, go ahead and go to the dual streamer setup because we're going to get everything set up in the questions. We're going to get the actions and the queue and all that situated. Okay. I'll see you over there. All right. So if you're only streaming on YouTube, hi, thank you for skipping the forward part there about Twitch. This part is for you. So again, we're just going to go through these 7 actions here and we're going to set them up for only streaming on YouTube. Okay. Now, again, just like I told the Twitch people earlier, we are not going to cover every little function that we have to address here. This is only to get you set up for those that are just streaming on YouTube. And then we're going to cover the dual stream people, which is what this is default for. And then we're going to go through and cover all the other little idiosyncrasies that you'll need to follow along with. So make sure that you don't skip the next section, even though you may not be dual streaming. Okay. So for the YouTube people, we're going to come in here. We're going to click on number 1, start setup. And the first thing we're going to do is these triggers up here. Now this basically populates the URLs that we need when we're posting to Discord. And since we're not going live on Twitch, we don't need to have that trigger. So we can just come in here and delete that trigger. Okay. And then because we are on YouTube, the set temp global YouTube link, we need to leave that alone. Don't mess with it at all. But we can get rid of the fetch URL because we are not streaming on Twitch. And this is a Twitch URL capture. So we're just going to right click on there. We're going to delete that sub action. You can delete this comment if you don't want it there because it doesn't pertain to you at all. And then the set temp global Twitch link, not the YouTube link, but the Twitch link, you can come in here and you can delete that one as well. Okay. And so we're going to set these up just like this. If you're on YouTube, you'll have one trigger and 3 sub actions. Right now we're going to go to the TTS questions number 2. We want to leave the command alone. We want the first temp global here for the YouTube link. We need that left alone, but the temp global Twitch link, we can get rid of this one here. So let's go ahead and delete that sub action, get out of here. Now, this if else statement here, there are a couple ways we can do it. We can either come in here and we can get rid of all of this crap and just leave the YouTube stuff, or we can just simply make a new action. So what we're going to do is do that. We're going to come in here, we're going to right click on this if statement, and we're going to delete it as well, right? So it's not there anymore, and you're left with a get temp global YouTube link, get temp global Q answer. So come into a blank area, and we're going to right click. We're going to go to core, we're going to go to actions, and we're going to go run action. And you're going to get this little pop-up right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to click on this no action selected, and then we're going to find we need number 3, the from YouTube. So we're going to come up here and we're just going to type in 3 dot, and there it is. It'll find it for you. Click on that, click on select, and then we're going to click OK. So we have it right here from YouTube. Click OK, and you'll see it puts it at the bottom. And we don't want it there. We need this up at the top where the if statement was. So we're going to click and hold, and we're going to drag it between the 2 get temps right there for you. Okay. Then we can leave the OBS raw alone. We're going to skip the Speaker.bot stuff. All we have to do is the Discord basic webhook, just a little bit of cleanup. So we're going to double click into here, and this content section, we need to make one adjustment. Now, because you're not streaming on Twitch, we need to get rid of the Twitch link because it won't populate. It'll be a broken link. It'll click and go to nowhere, and it'll really confuse the people that are seeing the message. So we want to come down here and just down arrow after you click into the space there until you can get all the way to the bottom. And you're going to see there are 2 sections that are almost similar. And one starts with an open bracket, see the answer on Twitch, and then it has the Twitch link and a whole bunch of math, right? And it ends with the closed parenthesis there. And then the third line, or depending on how you've sized your windows, it may be the second line where the open bracket, see the answer on YouTube. So you want to be very careful right in here, and you want to come in here and just delete the see answer on YouTube. So from this ending parentheses to the opening bracket, and just delete. Okay, so you're left with something that looks a lot like this, if I can center it for you. Okay, so it's going to be fine. Everything else above is fine. You don't need to touch any of that. And then all you have is your YouTube link. We're going to click OK down here at the bottom. And then the rest of this stuff is good. We'll leave it alone. Now we're going to come back to number 3 because we are streaming to YouTube. We want to leave that one alone, but we don't need the Twitch one. So let's go ahead and just get rid of that. We're going to delete that and say yes. Now, you don't have to delete that one if you don't want to. It's not going to run. It's not going to trigger. It's not going to fire. But for housekeeping, I like to keep things clean. So we're just going to get rid of that. The chat response on Twitch, again, this one, because it says Twitch, we're not streaming to Twitch. We can get rid of this. We're just going to delete. We're going to say yes. And now we're left with these 5. So the chat response from YouTube now, number 6, is the one we're going to go into. Now we have this one set up again for dual streaming, which we're not dual streaming. So what we're going to do, because we're using the same command, this action here basically sends that message to your YouTube chat, where it will respond saying, hey, basically, your message, your TTS message has been received, and we're going to answer it as soon as we can. But you'll see here there is an if statement. We don't need that. We don't need it at all. So we can just delete it right here. Delete the sub action. So you're left with the get temp global, the queue position, and then the YouTube message. And it has in here the user and then the queue position as variables. But if you want to make this say something else, that is completely up to you. I have a default one set up for you, which gives the user's name, and then it tells them what question number they are for that day, and that it will be answered as soon as possible. But if you wanted to say something else, or if you're not, in a native English speaking, you can change it to your language or whatever. And then we're just going to click OK when you're done with all that. And then we're basically done here. So we got the play question. Number 7, we're just going to come in here and you'll see it says unknown because there has been no action tied to this just yet. So we're going to go ahead while we're doing this setup. We're going to double click into here and then we're just going to go to the queue and we're going to look for the TTS queue right here. And you're going to click on that, make sure it's in the box. We want to set it to resume and we're going to say OK. And so it'll show up here, TTS queue, resume. And that's it. Now you're set up to continue on with the rest of the. Now you to continue on with the rest of the setup. So do not skip the next section. Again, even though it says multi-streamers only or whatever, because we're going to cover more of the nuances now in this initial setup to get you going. All right. So don't skip that part. All right. So now the rest of you need to do the setup, assuming that you are streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. And if that is you, there's even less setup that you need to do. And for those of you that are only streaming to Twitch and only streaming to YouTube, you also need to pay attention to this because there are some edits that we need to make for everybody now. So now that we've got it set up, again, this system is designed for the multi-streamer that streams to Twitch and to YouTube. It is already set up, good to go, fully tested for both. There are no edits that you need to make or actions that you need to delete or rename or anything like that. And as a side note, okay, if you are timid about making any of those changes that we just covered in the last 2 chapters, whether for Twitch or for YouTube, you don't have to. You can leave it completely alone. If you're only streaming on YouTube, it just won't populate the Twitch stuff. It won't run those actions. And likewise, if you're on Twitch, it won't run the YouTube stuff. The only thing we need to worry about here is in the TTS questions number 2 on the Discord webhook. You do still want to go through and delete whether the YouTube link or the Twitch link, depending on which one you are not streaming to. So that way you don't have a broken link to confuse your visitors in your Discord. But if you delete this, whichever one it is, for Twitch or for YouTube, you can leave the rest of it alone. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to break anything. But it's just for general housekeeping and to make things simple and use less resources. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on the start setup here. Assuming that you skipped ahead because you aren't streaming to either one, but you are in fact streaming to both. We have 2 triggers up here for the start setup. And basically, again, these sub actions here are going to populate the links that are used in those Discord messages and in other areas of this setup so that you have the right URL for your current thing. And I need to say this is very important. Please, please, please pay attention. If you are streaming on Twitch, for this TTS queue system to work, for any queue system to work, you must have your VODs enabled and they have to be published. If they don't get published, there is no link, there is no VOD, there's nothing to do, and this will not work. Now, the queue system or the TTS will still go through and you can still answer them, but there will be no reason for any of this, and you can just do it in Speaker.bot. Okay. So make sure that you have Twitch VODs not only enabled, but also automatically being published. Likewise, on YouTube, for your live stream replays, the little DVR toggle down there on your settings needs to be turned on so that it saves your replay. Okay. Now, we're going to come in here real quick and we're going to double click on this fetch URL. You can see a little comment here, edit above. So we're going to click into here and you're going to see up in the URL box where it says your Twitch username here. We're going to delete that and type in your Twitch username, obviously. But make sure, this is very important as well, the little / that follows videos and the little question mark at the end of here need to remain. You cannot delete those or this will break and none of it will work. So we're just going to highlight the your Twitch username here and we're going to type in your Twitch username. So I would use Bearded Ink. Nothing else in here needs to be touched. I have already formatted this URL to grab exactly what we need from it. I've done all the work for you. Okay. And then we can leave the rest of this alone. So now we're going to come into number 2, the TTS questions here. Okay. And again, not a lot to do. We can come through. We're getting our links that we just populated. We're depending, this if statement basically just says, hey, did the ask command come from Twitch or did it come from YouTube so that we know what to populate? And then we're going to set the queue answer number, right? This is their answer number 1, number 2, whatever. The OBS raw, this is going to get our uptime here. You don't need to do anything in there either. And then Speaker.bot. So we're going to come in here to Speaker.bot. Now we need to, you'll see here, Speaker.bot voice alias name here. So what we need to do is we need to set up a voice alias for Speaker.bot. Okay, so we're going to open Speaker.bot real quick, and we're going to come over here to the settings tab. Let me minimize this to help. Cancel that to help you see a little bit better. So this is Speaker.bot. When you have Speaker.bot open, we're going to come to settings. We're going to click on voice aliases and we're going to give our voice alias a name. So I'm just going to name this one TTS Ask, just like this. And then we're going to click on add and you'll see it'll populate over here in the name area. So we're going to click on it here to highlight it. And we're going to come down here and we're going to pick a voice. So I'm just going to give it the Microsoft Zero voice. Was selected in the voice and we click on the add button here and you'll see that Zero name appears over here under the name of the voices. Now, here's a little trick. If you want to be fancy with it, if you have multiple voices and speech engines that are installed here, you can add multiple voices to one voice alias. So for example, I have some TTS monster ones here. So we can just do, I don't know, we'll do Bart. We'll add Bart. We'll come in here. I think there's one for like Stanley Parable type of guy, sounding guy. We'll add him in there. So now what happens when you have multiple names in here, and let's go ahead and we'll just add one more. Let's do Sayiri. I don't know. When you have multiple names in here, what will happen is when this voice is called, it will pick one of these names at random to use. So the first question you get asked and you answer it when you play it, it may do the Zero voice. And then the second one might do the Parable voice. And then the third one might do the Segure, whatever. You see what I mean? It'll pick one at random. And if you ever find one that you don't really like it or whatever, you want to get rid of it, you just highlight it right here in this section. And we're going to go delete. And then it's just removed. And then you only have these to choose from. Okay. Now you need to assign this name so that it will actually play, because you can see that it says not in use. So what I would do is I would set this as the voice for either your broadcaster account or your robot account or your bot account if you have one. And if you don't, you can come over here to the general tab. We can go to the default voice alias drop down. And then we're just going to do TTS Ask, and then we're going to click on Save. Okay, so now the TTS Ask, if we were to come back in here, refresh everything, you'll see that it is now the default voice. If you want to set it to the robot or your bot account or whatever, you'll have to have the user's name here. And then you'll have to have them populated, which means that person or that bot account or whatever, once you have Speaker.bot open, will have had to have chat in your live stream at least one time. Then you can click on their name here. It'll populate all their information, and then you can just drop down the voice alias and pick it here. Okay. But what you would do then, once their name is selected and all of their information is put in here, you just drop this down and select the TTS ask, and then that name will pop up on the list there. So once you have the name there, we go back into our voice aliases. Again, this name is very important. So spelling, capitalization, spaces, everything matters. So now we're done with Speaker.bot. So we're just going to minimize it, keep it active, and we're going to go back to Streamer.bot, and we're going to come into the Speaker.bot Speak and Wait. We're going to double click into here, and where it says Speaker.bot voice alias name here, we're going to get rid of all that. Get out of here. And then we're going to type in the name exactly as we have it in Speaker.bot. Okay. And then leave everything else alone. The only thing I can offer here is if you want to pass this through the bad word filter, if you have your bad word filter set up in Speaker.bot and you want your TTS messages to go through that, you can check this box. Otherwise, leave it alone. Just make sure that delay is checked. Okay. And then we're going to click OK. Now that's set. We're going to come down to the Discord webhook. We need to make a Discord webhook. And this is where all of the messages are going to be posted in your Discord server. So let's open up Discord here. I already have a channel made called the Ask Queue. And we're going to set up a webhook. So we're going to come in here where it says edit channel right on the little cogwheel there. We're going to open that up and we're going to click on integrations. Okay. And then the integrations, you'll see this tab here where we have webhooks and channels followed. We're going to click on create a webhook. And if you've never created one before, it'll automatically make one for you. If you want to make a different one, you can just click on new webhook. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop this down. We're not worried about the profile picture. So you don't have to add one because we're going to automatically add one through Streamer.bot. We want to give this a name. So I'm just going to keep it simple and name it TTS Ask like we did before. And I'm going to click on Save Changes to make sure the changes have been saved. And you'll see it up here that it changes. And then I'm going to click on Copy Webhook URL. And it'll say copied right above. Okay. And then let me zoom out to stop making you dizzy. We can close down that window. So now we have our Ask Queue with the webhook made up. We're going to go back now to Streamer.bot. Still in question number 2 over here. And we're going to come down here to the Discord webhook sub action. We're going to double click into this. And where it says up here, Discord webhook name here, we're going to get rid of all that. Leave it all completely empty. Get out of here. And we're going to type in the name that we just gave our webhook exactly again as we did. And then you'll see it says webhook URL, the Discord webhook URL here. We're going to highlight that. We're going to get rid of all that. Get out of here. And we're going to paste that link that we just copied from our webhook in Discord there. And then everything else you can leave alone. You'll see we have a time stamp here. We have all the information we need. It has already been formatted for you. All of the information, the username, the profile picture, all the links, and the timestamps for both Twitch and YouTube. I had to do a lot of math. As you can see, we got all this stuff coming in for math stuff. I already did all of the math for you. You don't have to do anything except click OK. And once you've done that, then we're done with part number 2. Number 3, we don't have to mess with that. Number 4, we don't have to mess with that. Number 5, we don't have to mess with that. The only thing here, then these 2, 5 and 6, are the responses that the chat member will receive once they've done the ask command. And this is basically the feedback, right? Because remember, the TTS isn't going to go off right away. So we want to give them a little responses. Hey, we got your message. So I have a Twitch message here, or if you're on YouTube, the YouTube message. And they both say the same thing by default. It has the user's name here. It has the number of the question that they are in line. So if they're the third person to ask a question that day, this will say number 3, et cetera, et cetera. If you want to change this or both of them for whatever reason, just say whatever you want. That is completely up to you. Otherwise, you can just leave them alone. Okay. And then now number 7, again, we just got to play the question. This here is the action state. We're going to come in here again. The queue that we have, remember, is the TTS queue. We're going to set it to that, set it to resume. Do not click the clear button. Leave it unchecked. And we're going to say, okay. So it should look like that. So now we have a couple things that we want to do. First, we're going to come up to our action queues. We're going to click on the queues tab, and you'll see we have our TTS queue one here, but we need this to be paused. So if you look over here on the right, it'll tell you how many are pending, how many have been completed, is it paused, and is it blocking. Now I can set this to be blocking and give it the name, which I have done. What I cannot do is auto pause it for you on import. So by default, it will not be paused, which means the first time that you have asked a question, it will just play it straight away. Now I have in here, if we go back to the actions tab, in the setup, once we go live and we are live, you'll see that it pauses the queue. So in case you forget or whatever happens, if somehow it stays unpaused and you on the end of your stream, like if the bot crashes or whatever, we're going to need to do it manually. Okay. So we're going to come in here, action queues tab, click on TTS queue, and we're going to right click on it and just check pause. And you'll see it changes over here on the right under the pause. It changes to yes. Okay. And we only have one more thing to do. We're going to click on the commands tab. You'll see that the command is red, and that just means it is not enabled. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click into here. Now you don't have to do this, but I want to show you a couple of things. One, it is default to set up to look for the ask, exclamation point ask is the trigger for this here command. And it's checking Twitch and YouTube messages. So if you're only on Twitch, uncheck YouTube. If you're only on YouTube, uncheck Twitch. And if you're streaming to both, just leave them both checked. And then up here in the top, you'll see where it has enabled and that is unchecked. You can click that button there. Okay. Now, when we click off of it, you'll see it has turned from red to black, which means it is enabled and it is ready to go. You can also, if you don't want to edit anything in there, you can just right click and then there's the enabled option here. So if we come in, it's red, right click, check that it's enabled, it turns black, we're good to go. Okay. So that's it. You are now completely set up to have your own TTS queue system. So now we got to test it. So let's test it. Okay. I'm going to go live on YouTube and then I will show you what happens. Okay. Let me zoom out for you here before we do all of that. Go back to our actions tab so you can see everything here. And then let me just monitor our YouTube live here. I want to monitor this bad boy. I only get to monitor it for 10 minutes, so we're going to be quick. I'm going to come into our OBS here, and I'm going to manage my broadcast. Look at me, you have me double here. We're going to check the delete one, select the broadcast so it's there. We're going to come in here, live chat. All right, so now we have this open. So we have our little chat here. We have our actions. We have our action queues. We're going to simulate an event. So we're going to come to the startup and we're just going to simulate that we are running this. Now, obviously we're not going to be live on Twitch, but that's okay. So we're just going to click on test trigger and that's going to populate after 10 seconds. So we can come to the queue here and we can watch. We put pending actions. We're just going to wait for this one to disappear. There it disappeared. You didn't see it. And that's okay. We can come through. We can do it again. Twitch, same thing. You can test the trigger. If you're running on Twitch, doesn't matter which one you trigger. Just make sure that, again, We're testing it. We're not going to get an actual VOD URL for either one of these with the test, but that's okay. So once it disappears, we know that action has run. And to double check, we're just going to look at our variables. We're going to click on this variable list here, and we have non-persisted globals. And you'll see we have a Twitch link, just like here, and we have a YouTube link. Now, this is the link to our YouTube replay, right? And again, it's not populated for about 5 to 7 seconds after we actually click go live or start streaming in OBS. And that's why we have that 10-second delay to give the time for these to be populated by Twitch and by YouTube, and then Streamer.bot can pick them up. So once we have both of these populated, and these will change every time you go live, which is why we have that on a start command, we're good to go. We can close the variables. We can go back here, and we're going to go to our pending actions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and I'm just going to do exclamation point ask. This is a test question. How did I do? And then we're going to send it. And you can see here, we have number 2, TTS questions, and look at the status. It is waiting. There's nothing, right? So we're going to come back here. We're going to go ahead and ask it another question. Ask. This is, I can't type. Question number 2. How did it work this time? Okay. And let me just show you something. Let me pop this out so I can make it bigger so we can take a look at what's going. Oh, I didn't mean to dock it again. Okay. So we can see what's going on here. You see, I've asked the question, and then here's the response that we got. So my bot says, thank you for the question, Bearded Ink. It has been added to the queue as question number 1. And then here's me asking question number 2. It says, thank you for the question. It has been added to the queue as question number 2. And if we go look at the queue, you'll see that there's 2 questions here. Now, how do we answer them? Well, this is going to be dependent on you and your setup. So let's go back to the Actions tab here. Okay. And remember, we have the play question. And basically what this does is it unpauses the queue, but because our queue is paused and blocking, when we unpause it, it's going to prevent anything else in this queue from playing. Okay. So it's only going to play the first one. And then because of our actions, if you paid attention, after we've asked the question, we got the links, we've posted our link, we've asked the question with the TTS, we've posted it to Discord. You'll see at the very end, we pause the queue again. So before the second one can play, we're stopping the queue, and then the second one will go back to waiting. And it won't play all of them all the way through. So if you happen to try this out and for whatever reason you hit your play button and all of the TTS just get played one right after the other, you want to come into your queues and make sure that it is set to blocking. Because if it says blocking no, it's not going to work. Okay, so double check on that. But I have it set up for you by default. So as long as you didn't change anything on the import, it'll be set that way. But we still have to figure out a way to play these. So what we have to do here is we have to make a trigger. You'll notice there's no trigger up here, right? To unpause our queue. Now I've done this by design because I don't know how you have your system set up. Do you use an Elgato Stream Deck? Do you use Touch Portal? Do you use the built-in Stream Deck from Streamer.bot like I do? Or do you want to have a moderator only style command? However you want to do it, that's the trigger that you want to use. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways. Okay. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make a command. So we're going to come in here. We're going to go core commands, command triggered. Okay. I'm going to click on create command, and we're going to get our command box up, and we're going to call this one TTS answer. And then I'm just going to have this one go and be exclamation point next. We're going to uncheck the ignore bot and ignore eternal messages. We're going to click on Twitch and YouTube, and I'm going to make this moderator only. So by doing this, you see moderators are here under their available. We're going to send them to allowed. And now because there's something populated in the allowed section, it'll only allow this command to be used by people in this group or higher. And because it's a moderator, the only people higher are you, the broadcaster. So by doing it this way, only you or your moderators can use the next command. And we're going to say, okay. And then we're going to say, okay. And now we have the trigger here. Okay. Now let me back out. And what I want to do is I want to show you how I have this set up on my deck. So if we come in here, we're going to go to the Streamer.bot website. Let me pull this over for you so you can see everything. I don't want anything hidden from you. We're going to sign in to the Streamer.bot website. And remember, you sign in with Discord. Okay. We're going to come up here in the top right corner. We're going to click our little image and we're going to go to decks. We're going to pick our deck if you already have one created. If you don't, I have a tutorial on the Streamer.bot Stream Deck. Again, this one is completely free. It integrates directly with Streamer.bot. So you'll see here, this is my deck basically that I use, and I have this on my little tablet underneath my monitor, so I can just press the buttons, right? So we're going to make a new one. So I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to click the little plus sign. I'm going to come into actions, and we want this. Remember, if we look, we want this to play number 7, play question. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to type in 7 period, and there it is. I'm going to click on that. We're going to go to appearance. I'm going to give it a name, answer TTS. If you want to give it an image, you can, make it all stylized. I cover all this in the Streamer Deck tutorial, so look for that if you want to use this. We're just going to click save. So here's my button now. Now this button on my deck is tied to this action, just like the command is. So let me zoom in for you one more time. So here we have it. And again, it is tied just like the command here. It is a trigger for this action. Okay. So here's what's going to happen now. If we go back to our action cues, you'll see we have the 2. And if I press this button, let me minimize this a little bit so we can kind of keep an eye on everything. So if I press this button, this one will go from waiting to run. And if I've done things correctly, you should hear the TTS message being read out. Here we go.
Bearded Ink asked, this is a test question. How did I do?
And then you see how it gets completed. It goes into the action history, but the next one in line goes back to waiting. Okay, so we heard the message. Now you notice there was that slight delay. TTS Monster does have a random delay before it actually starts speaking. That's just how it is. If you want, Amazon Poly or the Microsoft SAPI 5 voices don't have a delay, but it doesn't really matter in the end. It just only matters for showing you. Just know that it will play. Just give it time. Okay. But what we want to do now is we want to check. Let me come out of here again, and we're going to check one last thing, and that is our Discord message, right? So if we look here, now we have. Let me just look and zoom in again. We have my avatar picture, my name as the person that posted it. This is question number 1. For Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, which that is the date you can't see because my head's in the way. And then it says Bearded Ink asked, and then it has their question. And then it has see the answer on Twitch, which is a clickable link, which will go to the timestamp of whenever you press that button, it'll go to the VOD at that exact moment. And then we have see the answer on YouTube. Again, this will go to the exact moment on YouTube for your live stream replay, even if you're still currently live. Okay. Now, because I am not technically live on either one, you'll see if you look real close, if I can get my head out of the way, you'll see at the very end, it says T = 0 seconds. That's because we're not live, so there is no time marker from when we went live, right? Everything is going to remain at 0. But just bear in mind, we're going live before any of this takes place. So you can test it when you're live if you like, but I promise you, once you have it all set up like we've talked about, you click on these, it'll take you to the Twitch VOD or the YouTube live replay at the exact moment that question gets asked. Okay. And then that way your people can click on this and they can go and listen to your response to this question. Okay. So now let's check out one more. We've tested the deck button, so we can get rid of that. Let's test our trigger here. We have next as our command. So we're going to come back in here and we're going to come into the chat and we're going to, well, first, let me make sure we're still being monitored. We're not. Let me remonitor this here for more testing. Okay. So now, oops, not Discord. We want here. We're going to type in next. We're going to check our queue. It is running. And then if we look at Discord, let's watch Discord.
The didn't ask. This is question 2. How did it work this time?
And boom, as soon as we asked the question, it popped up once the TTS was done running with the name of the person. Here it is, question number 2. Bearded Ink asked, this is question 2. And then again, see the answer on Twitch or YouTube. Now you'll notice there's no profile picture for this one, right? Like, what the hell? What's going on there, bud? It's because the same person has asked the question twice in a row. So just like any other Discord message, if you go to any channel and you type a message, it'll put your little profile picture up there. And if you respond to your message or you're the next person to post, it'll still have all your information, but it won't have your message or your profile picture there. It'll just have the message. So that's how Discord works. If somebody else asks a question, then it would populate with their profile picture and then their name would be here. And their name would be here as the poster. But basically, Discord's saying, hey, it's the same person. We're not going to do the heading stuff anymore. We're just going to go into the content, the meat of it. So don't worry if you're testing and the avatar stops showing up. As long as it's the same person asking, that's not a problem. That's how Discord displays it. Okay. And then that's basically it. So you're done. Now you have a queue system, super enhanced with everything you need, the question number, the date of the stream, links to Twitch and YouTube, which YouTube has never had stream markers before that you could do with the press of a button other than going into YouTube Studio and click on the little button manually, which means you have to tab out of your game or you have to tab out of whatever. You have to open Studio if you don't even have it open. Normally, I don't. It's a big hassle. We have figured out a way to have stream markers on YouTube for when you're live. And again, I'll be doing a tutorial on that later. I know that the implications of that are huge, but let's get back to this. So we're done with Discord for now, but what else can we do with it? Let's ask another question here. This here is queue number 3. Can we make it pretty? Okay. And then we'll see here it's pending. There it is. We're waiting, right? And yes, the answer to your question is we can make it pretty. And how do we do that? Well, check it out. You can do things in OBS. Let me zoom out here. I've got my stuff kind of scrunched down, but that's okay. You get the idea. We're looking at the canvas here. So if I'm doing my tutorial, and this is like my basic tutorial screen when I go live on YouTube every Saturday to answer your questions, right? We do this live. We've been doing it for several months now. So if you come into my live streams on YouTube and you do !ask, and it goes into the queue like has been done, and then you answer the question, I have it set up where it will display on screen, just like this. It'll have your profile picture, right? Let's zoom in so you can see everything. It'll have your profile picture show up in a little circle down here. We have this cute little speech bubble, and then it'll actually display your message right here. Okay. And I have that. This is set up right now because if you remember, YouTube allows only 200 characters per message. Twitch allows 500. So I've used the widest characters, which are W, O, and M. And I've counted out, this is 500 characters to make sure that it all fits. It's all pretty. So now when we do the TTS next or whatever command, or I press the deck button, when the TTS speech is going off, it'll actually show the avatar of the person who sent the message, and then it'll display their question on screen, right? So that's actually kind of something you could do that's cool with it. You can do animations, you could do graphics, you could have a countdown. We have a guy that used the original version, the 1.0 version of this, and they have a similar thing to this. It's a lot cleaner, looks more mechanical, has a border color, and every time it's a new question, the border color changes. We have another guy that has a countdown. So when the queue is piling up, they have 5 or 6 questions. They have a little bubble next to their avatar or their webcam here that has a count of how many questions they have to answer. So it's like a countdown. So every time they hit the button on their deck and answer the question, the number in that little speech bubble goes down. And then when it reaches 0, it disappears completely, and they know their queue is clear. And then the next question comes in, speech bubble comes up, populates with a 1. So there are a ton of different things that you can do with this to make it personalized for you and your stream and your community. So the sky's the limit here. We've just done the hard work for you, right? So we have all that set up. We have it tested. We know it's working. I'm going to go ahead and clear this one out. So what we'll do is we'll just come back in here and we'll just type in next. And then we'll get that question answered.
Bearded Ink asked, this here is queue number 3. Can we make it pretty?
We did. We made it so pretty. And then that'll go away once the TTS is all completed. We can double check our Discord. There's question number 3. There's my avatar back because it's been over whatever the cache limit is. I think it's 5 minutes on YouTube, or I mean on Discord. But there you go. Question number 3. Here's that. And then of course our links to Twitch and YouTube again, right? So it is very, very robust in its simplicity. And if you did pay attention, you'll notice we have no C#. We have no external calls to API stuff other than getting our URLs from YouTube and from the Decapi Me, which is a Twitch API site, to grab our URLs, which is done easily, quickly, and then it's never done again until you go live the next time. And we've set these up to be temporary because we know that the URLs are going to change every time you go live, right? So this variable, like we said before, this variable here is a non-persisted, right? Which means that when you close Streamer.bot, these get deleted. So you can see here, we've had 4 questions asked. We've answered 4. So you can use these queue position and queue answer variables in other sub actions if you want to, like when you're making the things in OBS to make them all pretty, like we discussed before, if you want to make a little countdown or show how many you've answered versus how many have been asked and keep a little count on screen. These are the variables that you would populate those text boxes with, right? And then of course your Twitch and YouTube links that we need to make the links on the Discord, these change every time. So we put these as a non-persisted. So when we close a Streamer.bot and then reopen it, those variables will not be there until we run the setup and go live and our broadcasts become live online. And then they get repopulated. So there you go. That's about it, right? We've got some examples shown for you. And we've shown you how to make it your own and make it pretty. So go have fun with it. All right. I hope you enjoy it. I know this was kind of long. The setup for this is very dependent on where you're streaming to. But if you're dual streaming, it'll work out of the box. If you're only streaming to Twitch or YouTube, a couple small little changes that you need to make, no big deal. But I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you get to use it a lot. I hope that your community appreciates it. And then I hope that you see the value, especially if you have a TTS system already in place, where this one will allow you to play those messages when you're ready, right? And not when they get sent. So you can set aside a time of your stream, maybe where, okay, for the last 30 minutes, we're going to answer all the questions in the queue that have been asked throughout the stream. Or when you are doing ad breaks, you know, and you stop your game, let's answer some questions, or, you know, whatever it is. You know, like I said, I've had a couple of times where I've had people ask questions with the TTS system before I wrote this, and the TTS would speak over like a clip that was playing because I just got a raid, or somebody just did, you know, did 10 gifted subs or whatever, and all the alerts and shit are going off. And then this TTS comes in and I'm like, what? And I got to scroll back through chat to try to find it and try to read it. This puts everything right at your fingertips. Seven actions, one button, easy, right? And it's all set up for you. All the math is done. So I hope you appreciate it. If you find use for it, leave a comment down below. If you have any questions or any problems with it, if it's not working correctly or whatever, drop a comment down below. Let me know what's going on. We'll get you sorted. If it's something you don't understand and you think you need further help with it, jump over to the Bearded Pint Discord. That link is in the description below. Join the Discord, accept the rules. You'll get view the whole Discord. We have a section designed specifically for bot help and for these tutorials. You can go in there, and that way you can share your log files or post screenshots and things like that, and we will get you squared away. But either way, you know, leave a comment down below if you like this, if you think you're going to use it. Let me know how you have enhanced it even further. What did you do in OBS or in your streaming service to make it fun or more engaging for your viewers? Let everybody know, and let's share our ideas and stuff of what we can do with this. Okay. And if you like the video, give me that little thumbs up. It makes me feel good. You know, if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Bearded Ink. I hope you enjoyed this. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button down below. It's free. Makes me feel good. Makes me feel like I have friends. But you'll also be alerted whenever I post a new tutorial or when we go live. And we do go live every Saturday here on YouTube. And I'm starting to go live on Saturday here on YouTube and Twitch at the same time, right? So you can join me on either site, both of them at Bearded Ink. And again, there you go. Use it. Let me know how you use it. Let me know in the comments specifically what you've done to make yours better. And if you want to make a little clip and show off how you've, you know, enhanced this further and how you've displayed your messages or whatever on screen for your viewers, join the Discord. I have a show off section down there where people have already posted a couple of their examples that are really, really cool. They've done some amazing things, and I can't wait to see what you do with them. But I'm going to let you go for now. Go have fun with this, test it out. And until next time, everybody, thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself. And until next time, love, peace, and chicken grease.